Okay, so here we go with the first one of these things. If you watched the previous video, you'll know why I'm doing this sort of new thing. I'm just here to bring you what I think about films that I watch that I really, really enjoy. Maybe a couple of more like video essay-ish things in future, depending on how stuck into this I really get. There's actually quite a lot I'd like to talk about, but without further ado, I'd like to talk about a film I just got out of watching, and that is the newly released Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So let's look at some footage. So Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is a 2024 release directed by Wes Ball, who some people might know from the Maze Runner franchise. Now, cards on the table, I only ever watched the first film in the Maze Runner series, never really got into it. I was kind of over the young adult dystopian stuff, to be completely honest. But this film is starring Owen Teague as the ape Noah, along with Freya, Allan. There's William H. Macy in this, Kevin Durand as Proximus Caesar, and a bunch of other people which I can't really remember right now, so it's still very, very fresh in my mind. So this is now the 10th film in the Planet of the Apes, I guess, series. I think most people will be familiar with the previous trilogy, started by Rupert Wyatt and then eventually made very, very well by Matt Reeves. Those were Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and War for the Planet of the Apes. And in my opinion, that's a really, 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 really good trilogy, like surprisingly so. It had a lot to live up to with the old films, especially the first one being revered as quite a classic. And that film kind of told the origins of the Planet of the Apes. And it kind of, I guess, added things to it. And as far as I know, it is all connected canon. So we're not going into this one expecting to see any of the characters that we'd seen in the Matt Reeves trilogy, because for those that saw those films, they also know how it ends. But that being said, the legacy of Caesar is still very much present in this film. But we find ourselves many generations in the future in this film, following the character of Noah, a young ape who's part of this eagle tribe. Their whole thing is they train eagles. They're known as the Eagle Clan. So we find ourselves with this ape Noah, who goes throughout the film on this big journey against this new tyrannical figure known as Proximus Caesar. And Noah's set to take on his evil regime against both humans and ape alike. Now that's kind of all I really want to say about the plot, for the main reason of, if you've seen any of the trailers for this film, they actually do a really good job of making it look good and thrilling and interesting without giving away too much of the plot. Even any kind of like plot descriptions I've read don't really give away too much, and I think that's a really good thing, because this film is a pretty difficult job of being very connected to the previous trilogy, but also very much its own new thing. So it has to really build out the world again, not really from scratch, but it has to really establish us in this space, in this time period. And the film really takes its time to do that. This is a pretty long film at just pushing 2.5 hours, but I didn't really feel the length at all. There's maybe a very slight lull somewhere halfway through for maybe about 10 minutes, but it's pretty consistent all the way throughout. And when it finds its main driving force, that's when the film really decides to go. Like, it's breakneck from then on. And to come back to the world that we're in, this world is lush, it's beautiful, but it's also very desolate, very different from the world we'd seen in pretty much any of the other Planet of the Apes movies. And it does a really cool thing, as I said, of like building out this Eagle Clan and their separate beliefs, and then beliefs of other apes that they tend to come across. And that, I think, really sets it apart of just how much this world has changed and kind of expanded from the world that I guess we live in today. And focusing again on the world, as I said, it's big and it's beautiful, and so are the sets that they built to have this film staged in. It's got these huge, big, pretty much all CGI vistas, but nothing looks out of place. And that's going to lead me to my next point, because this is one of the best looking CGI heavy films I have ever seen. Like, it's giving Avatar: The Way of Water a serious run for its money. In fact, hot take, I think it looks better. Like, the apes in this film, there were times where I was kind of like rubbing my eyes, being like, that looks like a real ape. Like, the uncanny valley is like really strangely inviting in this one. It wasn't the kind of thing of like, that looks so real, it's weird. It's just like, this just looks totally real. Like, I'm seeing a real ape interact, and they don't look out of place when they're next to human characters. And it's a real achievement, I think. And that brings me on to my second point. The performances throughout in this film are just astonishing. Owen Teague is incredible in the main role of Noah, and the supporting cast playing apes are also fantastic. Andy Serkis first kind of revolutionized this technology all the way back with the Lord of the Rings when he did Gollum. He was also Caesar in that Apes trilogy before. And I feel like it's just gotten better from there. I feel like actors are now put into an environment where they're able to perform more comfortably, even though their character is going to be completely computer generated. And again, I remember critics talking about at the time of that trilogy, just how much emotion is able to be portrayed through these performances, even though it's computer generated. But even more so in this one, it's truly, truly astounding. To speak about the human characters, they kind of have a little bit less to do, but when they do get their time to shine, I think they take it. Freya Allan, who people will know from the Witcher TV show where she played Ciri, I never watched that, so I can't talk about her performances in that. But in this, I was pretty impressed. She's pretty good. She's got a lot of physical stuff to do, some emotional highs as well, and I was very convinced by her performance on the whole. But to kind of bring this into the melding pot that it is, as I mentioned, it's pretty long, it's pretty big, it's absolutely beautiful, and it is altogether in parts a little bit messy. But I didn't really care. This was so epic at times where I was literally just like jaw on the floor kind of moments where I was just like, I don't care that the script isn't perfect. And there are some pretty big contrivances, I think, in the script, some conveniences here and there. But I also think they're things, because I don't think it's a spoiler, this is a planned trilogy, to my knowledge. I think there are things that are going to be explained further along, and even as loose ends tend to get tied up towards the end of this film, I feel like it makes up for some of those contrivances that happen about halfway through. So to speak about the really good parts, as I said, like, it's huge and it's beautiful, but the action scenes in this are honestly jaw-dropping at times. Wes Ball comes from directing these really big, pretty CGI-heavy kind of teen action films with the Maze Runner series, and he's really flexing those muscles over here. The guy clearly knows what he's doing. There are beautiful, like, long one takes, and the action is kinetic and it's moving fast, but you're not losing track of what's going on. And it's just really thrilling when these big things are happening. And also, to give it even more credit, there's a really good emotional through line with the character of Noah throughout this story, with the people that he meets, with the family that he has, and with the connections that he makes, and with the choices that he decides to make in relation to those connections. So I have to say, like, I'm really, really, really impressed. This was a film, when it first got announced, I was kind of like, War for the Planet of the Apes kind of wrapped that up really well. Do we need another Apes movie in this kind of vein? And granted, it is going much more in the future, so it's not relying on those old characters, so to speak. But I was a little bit like, this could go very wrong. And I'm really happy to say it doesn't. It actually goes very right for the most part. Like, as I said, I had a really, really good time. Few issues here and there. But on the whole, I think it's a really great start. I really want Wes Ball to kind of take this whole trilogy as his. And I think the best is yet to come with this. Like, I really, really enjoyed this. Really recommend it. I don't think you need any prior knowledge if you haven't seen that previous trilogy. First of all, what are you doing? You should go and watch that previous trilogy. What I am going to do a little bit differently to a lot of reviewers that I see, I'm not actually going to give this a strict score. I'm just going to give you a recommendation, and you can take what I've said and kind of build your own score with that. But bottom line is, some contrivances here and there with the script. Things are a little bit convenient. It's a little bit of a mess at times, but it is really beautiful to look at. It's really thrilling. There's a good amount of emotion in it. Performances are incredible. And on the whole, it's a really, really impressive film. And it's a really good way to kick off this summer season that us film fans are used to, of going to the cinema to see these big tentpole blockbusters. And this is one of them. So those of you that did watch this far, thank you, first and foremost. I know I can tend to ramble on a little bit. I promise I will get better at this. As I said, trying something same, but different, what I decide to do with these kinds of reviews. But any kind of feedback is welcome. If you want to get into the comment section, if you've seen Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, let me know what you think. If you go to see it based on this review that I've just given, also let me know, and let me know your thoughts on the film. But yeah, to wrap it up, I had a lot of fun doing this. I had a lot of fun going to the movies, and I can't wait to do the next one of these. So again, thank you for watching.